reason to expect to be able to win that game. He was down +3 at one point with Hikaru on the attack, but he comes back and wins. So that's why he's the world champion, Eric, Magnus Carlsen, and that's why Hikaru Nakamura has struggled, honestly, to beat Magnus Carlsen in his career. If you're just joining us, this is the Speed Chess Championship Finals, and these guys have a long history. Magnus has owned Hikaru over the board, even though as of late, Eric, Hikaru's had winning chances, but he doesn't tend to convert against Magnus like he does against others. Right? Do you buy the theory that Magnus has a psychological edge in this matchup?
Oh, 100%.
100%. Okay.
Oh, 100%. He has a psychological edge against the only player that I feel doesn't have much of a psychological problem against Magnus, in Blitz especially, is Grishuk.
Yeah.
Although guys like Karyakin are rock solid, but Grishuk is the guy who really takes it to Magnus out of all the players, in my opinion. He's the number one guy who doesn't seem phased, and he likes the challenge.
Well, there you have it, everybody. We have a 3-game lead currently in the finals, and Eric and I predicted this would probably not be a good thing for Hikaru, and he did have chances to win last game, but it's a huge swing where you're down by one.
That was his best position of the match.
Yeah, best position of the match last game.
The one game he won was from a position where Magnus actually missed a clear win, so not looking good at all. He has to turn it around right away. I'm telling you, the bull portion is not going to be friendly to Hikaru today.
All right, well, you know what? This is where you have to change things. We have 1 minute left, which means officially this is the last game of the 5-minute portion, at least as far as classical chess goes. The 960 affair will start right after this game, so don't go anywhere, everybody. 960 chess is Fisher random and lots of fun, always kinds of weird dynamic stuff going on. So, all right, what is going on here? Speaking of weird dynamics, you have kings on opposite sides of the board.
Oh, it's good. It's Naka playing the King's Indian. Some people have been waiting years for this.
I kind of like Hikaru's chances here. With it feels like the queenside pressure has come faster than the kingside, but maybe he's just running out of moves now.
Well, you have this idea maybe playing rook b8 and b5, b4. Maybe, although white will maybe play bishop b5 and block that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to play b5 and sacrifice a pawn. It's white's position that he's been playing all the normal moves as far as I know, so it's not good for black yet. Yeah, it's all pretty standard play. But you're right that Hikaru has some breaks.
Okay, this now allows f4, though, and f4 would force the trade of the dark square bishop.
Yeah, f4, though, I take on c5, I take on g6, I play g5, and your bishop on g7 is a bad piece. It's a good position for white. If f4 take on c5, I think that's good for white.
He's gonna
maybe I'm missing something. I'm going to take on c5, take on g6, maybe play g5 myself. And open up on the light squares, and I like this for white.
Yeah,
I play this line as well against King's Indian h3. It's pretty fashionable, pretty comfortable. Maybe g5, and he's done it. Yeah, no, this is actually f4 stops black's initiative completely, and now it's going to be a bit of a positional game. Maybe knight f3, maybe rook h1 check, and bishop h3.
Yep.
And where's black's counterplay?
Impressive.
Bishop e8, bishop e7 is the only. Yeah, maybe he's going for that, but. This is not going to be a very sharp game. It's going to be Magnus putting some pressure on against his King's Indian setup with weaknesses on both g6 and d6.
No, but you called that line, the transition and the g5 move there. That was impressive, most impressive. I agree, and I think that white is the only one who can win this. You're gonna are you trading on b5 and then playing f3 to open up the second rank, perhaps to flip to the h file? Is that an idea?
I think. Oh, white playing f3.
Yeah, white playing F3.
That's possible. At the same time, the knight on f3 is a great square for the knight. It can go to h4 sometimes, and it just blocks black. But yes, you can consider f3 as well. Maybe f3, knight f1, knight h2, knight g4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see F3, a few different options.
Knight f1, knight h2, knight g4, yeah.
This is like, I think, this is very comfortable for Magnus. He's just got to optimize that knight on d2 and improve his rooks. But in the meantime, black does not have any activity.
Knight c4 immediately threatens knight b6, everybody, forking the queen and rook, so the queen has to come back.
You can even go knight b5 here sometimes. Oh, knight b3 if knight b5. No, actually,
I guess I'm still biased to this f3 idea because I just love the thought that the h file.
Well, now f3 makes a lot more sense. Now it didn't go to f3. Now for sure you're playing f3, I think. But if you don't play f3, one of the reasons is maybe black lashes out, plays f3, and gives a target.
Right. If black plays f3, that pawn could eventually be.
Because black might play f3 to be like, oh, I play rook f4, put some pressure on e4, try to gain some space. Because where else can black gain space nowhere else? B5 is not a possibility. Bishop on G7 is hopeless. But this is bad. This is really one-sided.
Now probably queen e2. Get the queen off the c file, and he's just sitting on the light squares.
So queen e2, I'm expecting knight b3, finally opening up the c file.
Okay, he goes with h1.
Yeah.
But Magnus is in control here, right? He has a choice.
He is.
Do I
I'm
play
not sure.
F3 and open up this?
Yeah.
So
One
many
thing
ideas.
is black wanted to play bishop f8 anyway, so I'm not sure how effective knight c4, knight b5 is. It looks good, but those knights could also be effective in other points. So I'm not sure how much I like that. Right now, Magnus is going to shift the rook on d1 to g1, and then maybe queen e2, as you mentioned. But where is the breakthrough? If I'm playing black, I guess I have to challenge the h file very soon. I guess white is planning to double up there.
Yeah, I guess with the
good
bishop
day,
on f8, even though it guards d6, it's left the h file behind though.
Yeah.
So there's these outside ideas that white quickly switches for an attack.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I could, I'd get my queen on g4 as white, where it just seems to attack everything and maybe can infiltrate. But to your point, Danny, is Magnus now playing f3, queen h2 because d6 is overloaded? Is that the plan, f3 and queen h2?
Well, Hikaru is thinking because the more he tries to come up with a way to unwind, maybe the more he's realizing that this position is a super tough one. Yeah, he's definitely frustrated. So what if he plays queen to d7 to try to kick the knight aggressively?
Queen takes g5?
Oh, knight b6 is still also.
Oh, sorry, knight. Yeah, that's right.
Knight b6 is. Okay, so no, sorry, both a little slow on the uptake there. Yeah, so this is that means I'm having trouble recommending moves, right? I mean, at first I agree.
My question is like the first thing is if I'm going to look to take on g5 in the future, I need to trade off pieces so I have less chance of getting mated. So rook h7 comes to mind.
Rook h7, get some pieces off the board.
Yes, rook h7 comes to mind, but this f3 take on h7 and playing f3 is really good. I'll just take on h7, play f3, and I retain all those attacking chances, and d6 is still a problem. Yep.
Hikaru frustrated now.
I do not see any solution here. This is real bad. Yep.
And it's exactly the kind of painful position that you'd rather be much worse in a dynamic position than a position like this where you're being strangled, right? And white is in control of all the play.
It's positions like this that cause people to hang up the King's Indian.
That's right. I was going to say quit chess, but that's just me.
Yes.
Shout out to MXII and several other subscribers I forgot to shout out. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in on Twitch TV. I think we're still number 3 on Twitch, Eric. We need to get to that 40,000 viewer mark. That's the goal. Tell your friends. Bring in the peeps, everybody. The finals is on. All right, A4 is falling, and Magnus is putting on a show.
A4 wasn't the worst thing to allow because F3 and Queen H2 seemed to be lights out. So he had to give up something. I think Magnus still wants to checkmate. He wants to checkmate Hikaru. He wants to put him out for the night. And Queen H2, he's gonna win the pawn without trading anything off, which is maybe even better. Is that the Queen going to G2 finally? Although Queen G2, B5, and that knight on B6.
Yeah, those knights have actually is
misplaced. And there's Queen B8 after knight B6. So knight D4. All right, rook H7 and B5. What do you do against that? B5 is coming, Danny.
Moves.
B5.
You can still play knight to B6 and after you trade on H7.
Queen B8 after knight
Is there
B6.
ideas like rook takes D4? Maybe white can sack the exchange.
Yeah, but that wasn't on the agenda.
Sure,
it might be forced, but
now he has no choice. And in fact, after knight to B6, what if you just play even rook B7 to trap the knight? It might be
do you want rook B7 or Queen B8? Do you want the H file, or it's hard to figure that out? Yeah. Actually, after knight B6, maybe simply Queen D8 is more effective to hit.
Body
G5
language
as well.
tells us you're right, my friend, because as soon as B5 was played, Magnus kind of threw his hand in the air and said, "What the bleep?" I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He bleeps himself if he ever curses. He says, "What the bleep?" So,
the exchange sacrifice is for sure coming. He's trying to figure out the best way to do it. You can't give up a piece here, and Magnus is only up a pawn. Considering the positions we're looking at, this is a huge upgrade for Naka. Queen D8, Queen B8, all moves attacking the knight.
Yeah, and just simple to
Win the
find,
knight.
too.
So rook takes D4 is what we're valuing. But Danny, after rook D4 take Queen D4, there's bishop to G7. And we're going to win C3. And the knight is still trapped on B6.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, sorry, you have to give up the piece because we had a rook B7. You can't sacrifice the exchange.
Yeah,
There's just rook B7
Magnus
in the end.
recognizes that right away and just gives up the piece immediately. Though now the queen side might actually be used for black if the rook.
Oh, black!
comes
This
to
is
B7.
a winning position for Hikaru.
sure.
He cannot blow this one up.
Well, it's the kind of turnaround he needed, right? We just saw him
did.
lose a winning position, and now if he wins this,
Maybe
poetic
he's being rewarded
justice
for
is
playing
served.
the toughest opening in chess, maybe possibly. What is okay?
Okay, but now rook takes C4 is just
rook
winning
takes
on the spot.
B3, rook takes C. Rook takes knight. So it's still 2 pawns.
Point everybody is this would have been a fun tactic, but okay, rook takes B3 would work.
I agree with his decision
Yeah,
to keep
I
that
agree
knight
too.
because the king is not safe for white. Maybe just bishop E7, chill.
This
Why
knight on
not?
D4 is just so powerful. No reason to trade.
It's great. And this G5 pawn is now going to be a weakness in the end games. It's white has 2 pawns for the piece, but you can count on that falling at some point. F3 is now a weakness. Rook B7. Hikaru now. This is it for him. This is really.
No, this is a.
If he doesn't win this game, I'm calling the match.
Because if he wins this game, Eric, he gets white. He gets the white pieces in chess 960, with a chance to come back to within 1 game heading into 3 minutes. Given the fact that we were practically calling for his head after falling behind 3 games, with good reason, he blew a winning position. But this is a huge win for Hikaru if he can convert.
Magnus up 50 seconds though, and he's very resourceful himself when down material. Let's see what he
I've
comes
learned
up
to
with.
never assume someone is going to convert a win against Magnus. It's just too many times he creates weird problems and finds ways to do what we saw last game.
Knight C2 maybe? Okay, Queen C2. He's going. That's a good move. That's a great move. Queen C2. Yes. Then you can.
And the reason is you like the queens coming off because now this knight can go hit F3 and he's just gonna.
Yes. There's
just gonna
also
go
Knight
win the
E1. I think Knight E1 just wins.
Yeah, I think just go make.
But Knight C6 was a threat and just running the A pawn down the board.
Okay.
Hikaru might put the bishop on F2. I wouldn't be surprised to see that if
What's
he
he
wants to
doing
stop
with the
that
king
pawn.
here?
I don't know actually. He's taking his king for a walk, and I have no idea where.
I don't think that was a good
he's-
move at all.
he's
and now
not-
he's under time pressure.
King F7 is a confusing move because you can get a pass pawn anyways. The only reason you play King F7 is if you're running to the queen side. But why do that? So Bishop
No,
F2 and
exactly.
G5,
Now he's
G4.
in a position where B4 is
G5?
played, and you got to play. Okay,
He's walking. Okay.
he's going to run, but to
Oh,
me
this
is
this is scary. B6. There's King C8, King B7, and I think you're in time, but it's
just
very
barely.
close. One thing that's annoying for white is you can't bring your king in because Knight D4 check. King B3, Knight D4 check.
Yeah, well, that's huge though for Hikaru. He's almost lucky that
So he's
that's
bringing
there.
his king to C7 and B7 probably. He's going to play G5,
Yep.
G4 ASAP.
Apparently, he has enough hairs on his chinny chin chin. He just figured out exactly how to defend this with the king. But this was a risky way to.
They have had a lot of endgames where they haven't had enough time to calculate.
Agreed.
Magnus is playing King C4. He's playing
Oh,
King
he
C4. He's going
missed
for
it.
the 3 pawns.
He's
King
going to get
C4.
3 pawns if knight takes
No,
C6 takes. White's
But he
gonna
can
win.
bring his king to A6. He can bring his king to
Oh
A6
wow. Okay,
here.
so again, but King B7.
Yeah, King A6. Just King A6. If B7, King A7.
Oh man, wow.
He's got the blockade set up right in time.
Again,
Well, I mean, right
just
now it's
barely.
still maybe now Knight F7. Knight F7. There's still resistance. Knight F7. Try to come up with something, but I think
If
Wait,
knight
hold-
takes F3 takes, maybe then black is even in position to give up the bishop for both pawns.
Yep.
And-
Yep.
yeah. So he goes for B7 and A6, but this
Magnus. This is.
is knight
Magnus-
C6 check a problem?
It could be, and you bring your king to Knight C6 check. You have to try it. You have no other useful move. No, he's going for this. What is going on here, Danny? This is anybody's game. Knight takes D6, G4, G4.
I can't calculate. I've gone blank.
You and the rest
He's
of
got
us.
knight D7 check coming and he's winning. That is freaking
Knight.
believable.
Oh wow!
Unbelievable.
Knight D7. Oh, this is trauma. This is incredible.
It's traumatizing. I'm not going to sleep.
No matter what, King
tonight.
C7, Knight D7 doesn't matter.